The mower's blade screamed until I killed it. Silence rushed in, thick and sudden, like a held breath. I looked up at the balcony where he leaned, champagne glass sweating in his hand, grin sharp as a blade he'd never had to sharpen himself. "Cut the grass better, gardener," he called, laughing for the guests. I wiped my hands on my pants. Oil, dirt, the costume I'd worn for months. "You're fired," he yelled, louder now. A performance. He liked performances. I pulled my phone from my pocket and dialed a number. "Trigger the inheritance clause," I said. I didn't whisper. I wanted the sound to travel. I wanted it to climb the stone and reach him. The mower ticked as it cooled. Somewhere inside the house, a clock chimed the hour. His phone rang. He looked down at me, eyes searching my face for the joke. There wasn't one. "What did you do?" he asked. I watched his hand shake as he answered. Watched color drain from a face that had never known hunger or fear. Watched the truth approach him like a tide he couldn't outrun. Inside me, a storm stayed quiet. I'd learned how I hadn't always been the gardener. I used to be the man who waited in hospital corridors. The man who signed checks. The man whose name was etched into the gate like a promise. "This place will endure." She told me the boy was mine. Said it with eyes steady enough to convince a younger man. I believed her because belief was easier than suspicion, and I wanted a future that didn't argue with me at night. Then came the small dates that didn't line up. A doctor who avoided my eyes. A friend who lingered too long after dinner, smelling like her perfume and guilt. I told myself I was paranoid. Powerful men are trained to doubt themselves. When she died, the boy inherited everything. Or so the will said. I stepped aside. I let him take the name, the estate, the balcony view. I stayed. As the gardener, to watch, to listen. Betrayal doesn't always arrive with a confession. Sometimes it leaks through glances, through records altered just enough to pass inspection, through blood types scribbled in margins no one expects you to read. I began to understand that the lie wasn't just hers. It was institutional, carefully preserved. I moved through the estate unnoticed. That was the gift of the uniform. People confessed to the invisible. I copied files when the safe was open, photographed letters before they were burned, paid for tests under names that no longer belonged to me. I learned the language of calm. Inside, my thoughts sharpened. DNA doesn't care about legacy. Phones don't lie when you know where to look. Neither do bank transfers to men who shouldn't exist on the book. Every morning, I trimmed hedges while the boy, the heir, threw parties above me. Every night, I stitched the truth together. He liked to call me old man. Liked to tell guests I'd been around forever. He wasn't. I watched him spend money that wasn't his. Hurt people who believed the name protected them. I watched him repeat his mother's talent for deception with none of her restraint. I waited. Because revenge rushed is revenge. The envelope arrived on a Tuesday. Cream paper, heavy seal. I read it once. Then again. Then I folded it neatly and placed it in my pocket. At dinner, he mocked the staff, laughed too loudly, told a story about a woman he'd broken because he could. Afterward, I found him alone in the library. I handed him the report. "What's this?" "Read," I said. He skimmed, scoffed, then slowed. "No," he whispered. "That's not." I watched his certainty collapse in stages. Denial, rage, fear. "You're not." He couldn't finish it. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. "The clause," I said, "is very specific." He sank into a chair, like a man. The lawyer spoke through the phone with practiced sympathy. Words like nullified and reversion floated through the air. The boy, no, the man stood frozen on the balcony as the estate changed hands without ceremony. "You set me up." "I waited," I replied. Security arrived. Guests were escorted out. The house exhaled. He grabbed my sleeve. "You can't do this." I looked at his hand, then at his face. I already did. They led him away. No shouting, no violence. Just the sound of doors, closing behind a life built on a... I walked the grounds one last time as the gardener. The grass lay even. Order restored. Power doesn't roar when it returns home. It settles. I left the uniform folded on the bench. Took the long way out through the... I didn't look back at the balcony. Some things are better seen from below, until they are.